We're here today to remember and honor one of our fallen heroes. Officer Timothy Nielson gave his life in service to the citizens of Joplin on September 13th, 2004. Tim had responded to 904 McKinley Avenue to check well-being call of a possible suicidal subject on August 10th, 2004. Unknown to Officer Nielson and his backup officer, Greg Batson, the subject had filled the home with natural gas prior to their arrival, and as they attempted to contact the subject, the gas ignited, causing an explosion. Officers Nielson, Batson, and the resident were transported for severe burns inflicted from the fire. Tim was transferred to St. John's Burn Unit in Springfield, where he later succumbed to his injuries. He was survived by his loving wife, Tracy, and young daughters, Grace and Rachel. Tim graduated from the Joplin High School and was an explorer for the Joplin Police Department throughout high school. He went on to graduate with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice administration at Missouri Southern State University. He was a patrol officer with the Joplin Police Department and was working to become a field training officer. When I was preparing remarks for today's ceremony, I asked Tracy for some thoughts from the family on Tim, and this is what they said. Tim was an incredible man. He was a devoted son, a loyal brother, a loving husband, and the best dad to his two girls. He was kind and optimistic, giving, and he made people's lives better. His passion was for law enforcement, and his heart was for his family. The world is a better place because he was part of it. We remember and honor Tim today for his service and sacrifice as a police officer. I just read words from his family, and the family said he was an incredible man. He fulfilled his familial roles as a devoted son, a loyal brother, a loving husband, and the best dad to his two girls. His family was and is so very proud of him. I would like to tell everyone here about the legacy that Tim left with his family. I know the Nielson family is proud of Tim, but I want everyone here to see how proud Tim would be of his family. When Tim passed from this life, the Nielson family had to pick up the pieces. David and Jeannie, Tim's parents, had to endure losing one of their sons, something no parent ever wants to experience. Chris and Joe lost their brother, and his wife Tracy was left to raise two little girls on her own. How does one make sense of such a tragedy? What was all this for? Can anything good come out of this? Soren Kierkegaard, the Danish philosopher and theologian from the 1800s, was quoted as saying this: "Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards." Sometimes you don't understand the impact of something until years later. Tim's dedication to the job and his family has impacted many lives, even today. The family said he was a devoted son. His parents, David and Jeannie, can speak to that, but Tim would be very proud of how they faithfully served every year at the Tim Nielson Memorial Golf Tournament, and how last year they welcomed two more heroes to the event as it was renamed the Fallen Officers Memorial Tournament. David, Jeannie, Tim would be so proud of you. Tim was a loyal brother to Joe and Chris. Tim would have been so proud of their loyalty to his memory as well, by helping each year with the tournament. Chris was there each year and at other events up until he passed away a few years ago. Joe followed his brother in public service, first as a Joplin police officer, and now currently as a Joplin firefighter. Joe, Tim would be so proud of you and Chris. Tracy, if someone were to tell me that day in August of 2004, when you arrived at St. John's Hospital, what path life would take you, I wouldn't have believed it. On that tragic day, Tim was sent to help someone who didn't want to live anymore. Fast forward several years, and that loving husband's example of helping others must have had some part in you pursuing your education and your career as a licensed counselor. What one individual intended for bad, God intended for good, as you've been a huge blessing to many people, including veterans, members of our department, and the families of our department over the course of the last 18 months. Tracy, Tim would be so proud of you. Tim was the best dad to 2 little girls. Grace and Rachel had to grow up without Tim. But in spite of this, both girls excelled throughout their childhood and are now pursuing their dreams. Grace is working on her Master of Social Work degree, specializing in policy-based domestic, social, and economic development. She aspires to work in legislative advocacy for nonprofit organizations and one day run for public office. And there's several elected officials here that would be happy to talk to you and encourage you. Grace, Dad would be so proud of you. Rachel moved to New York after high school and graduated from the Institute of Culinary Education. She was named most likely to succeed in her cohort. She is working at Gramercy Tavern in New York City. I know that Rachel is watching today this live stream and wishes she could be here. Rachel, your dad would be so proud of you. I want to close with this. Tim's legacy lives on with his family. Because of his sacrifice and the values he shared with his family, others who are currently facing the loss of a loved one, or may in the future face a similar tragedy, can draw inspiration from a family that chose to live forward, so that on a day such as today, we can all look back and understand that Tim's sacrifice was not in vain. At this point, we're going to do an unveiling here in a minute, and I want to explain the process here. First of all, I'd like to thank Representative Baker and also Senator Carter for helping move the bill along that awarded this designation through the Missouri Department of Transportation. I also want to thank our city management and our city council and the mayor for affirming this designation with the passage of a city ordinance. And I want to thank the other local reps that are here today, Representative Bromley and Roberts, as they helped out as well. And we appreciate the support from our local legislators. Since this is a MoDOT designation, MoDOT by rule has 120 days to install the official signs on the bridge. Well, knowing that and knowing that they don't give us any prior notice, we went ahead and scheduled this ceremony, and we had a replica sign that was made by our sign shop. And so we're going to unveil that replica sign here today. But first, have a presentation in order. Tim was awarded the Medal of Honor for his sacrifice years ago. Today, I would like to present Tracy with a certificate to go along with that honor. Tracy, please come forward and accept that certificate. I'd also like to thank members of our department for holding down everything today, literally. Guys didn't know they were going to have to do this when they showed up, and I appreciate them for stepping in and holding our awning down. So we're going to put the sign forward a few feet, and the Nielson family, those that are going to come and do the unveiling, are going to come up now and unveil it, and this would be the time for people to take photos. Again, I'd like to thank everyone for coming and showing their support. On behalf of a grateful city, we're thankful for Tim's sacrifice. And This designation and this bridge will be a daily reminder for everyone that drives over it about the sacrifice he made for our city. Thank you all for coming. This ends the ceremony.